Hi,
Hello,
how are you?
I'm fine, good.
So I'm really happy. I know that you are one of the Xiamen University students, so can you introduce yourself, your name?
My name is Khrob Faiziv. I came from Uzbekistan. I mean, IBU degree international business. So I'm in the second semester.
How long have you been here?
About like 7 months already.
Okay, so as you know, you are one of the international students. We have very interesting question for you. Khrob, can you tell me, do you have like a lot of students, friends, local friends here?
Of course, I have a lot of students inside the campus and outside the campus at the same time because I'm very outgoing person. Like it's easy for me like to communicate with other peoples from different countries because I think I'm quite open-minded. I respect different cultures, different religions. It's not hard for me like to be engaged with different like people from different communities. That's why I think like I have enough friends from all countries who study in Xiamen.
So, you know, these days, majority of international students finding it hard to communicate with local students. What do you think? What is the problem actually? Why students sometimes find it hard to communicate with each other?
I think it depends on personality. For example, some students they feel shy to speak with other students because they can like communicate, but the problem is they cannot take the first step. I think this is one of the main problems for students who feel like little bit isolated from other students, from the community. For example, for me, I was born in a country where more than 120 nations, so more than 30 religions in my country. That's why I grow up with the people from different nations, from different religions. For me, that's why it wasn't hard. But there are some students from the countries where not so international people the cultural, for example, religious diversity is so less that countries. That's why some students may find it too hard to communicate because I think because of cultural shock, maybe some kind of students feel isolated and they find it hard to engage with other students. I think the problems I mentioned above, one of the main problems that students cannot communicate with other students. I think, the university should organize a lot of events, clubs, to help the students. To make them feel to be part of the community, to be the part of society, and to push them to communicate with others. I think so.
Thank you so much for detailed explanation and detailed answers. I wish you good luck in all your beginnings and your study as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really fine. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Sarah Farid.
Where are you from?
I'm from Egypt.
How old are you?
I am 19 years old.
What is your course?
I study renewable energy and science.
That's really interesting. Have you got lots of international friends?
Yes, lots.
A lot of. And how do you find communicating with them?
Very, very easy. With most of them. Not all of them.
Not all of them. We have one hot topic. Today, majority of students here in Xiamen find hard to communicate with international students. Local students find hard to communicate with international with locals. Here's they are a bit apart from each other. So what do you think? What is the core reason of this?
By local, do you mean Malaysians or Chinese?
Actually, I mean both of them. Sometimes you can speak like generally because we know that Chinese students they are also a bit different from local ones.
Okay, with Malaysian students, I've never found a difficulty with any of them because communicating with them is like communicating with international students. It's the same. They understand English very well and they know different culture topics. So, yeah, we understand each other. But with Chinese, there's a language barrier between us.
Language barrier.
Yes.
So you feel that one of the biggest problems that like impedes from becoming a better friends, like to communicate, it's language barrier.
Yes, and also we grew up differently, so we don't have that much in common. So there's nothing really to talk about when we're sitting with each other. And the language barrier is the biggest reason of why I don't think I'm close with any of my Chinese classmates.
So how about other reasons? Let's say regarding Chinese students, do you think that only language is something that divides you?
Well, like I said, we did grow up differently, so we don't have anything in common to talk about. The only thing we both know is Peppa Pig, the show, the cartoon.
Okay, so what do you think? What should university implement or what should we do in order to become better friends? Like in order to improve the communication between?
Well, first I would like to improve their English because majority of the times, like in group discussions, whenever we'd have assignments together, they would talk amongst themselves for 20 or 30 minutes and then they would translate it to me in only 2 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
So I feel very left out in group discussions. Sometimes they would try to speak in English, but then they'd always have to use Google Translate. And I feel bad because it's wasting more time.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your beautiful answers. I wish you good luck in your study.
Thank you so much.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm really fine. Thank you. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes. My name is Kimin, and you can just call me Kimin. My full name is Kimin Tisa. I'm from Myanmar, and then now I'm studying in Electrical and Electronics Engineering EEE course. Yes. I'm an international student.
And how old are you?
I'm 18 years old.
How long have you been here?
I studied foundation in here also, so I'm studying last year, and then this is my first semester.
More than a year.
Yes, more than a year.
I've got some of questions for you. So, can you tell me, have you got lots of international students, friends?
Yes, I have. Yes, I also have like in foundation. All are Malaysian. So I only have Malaysian friends in degree. So there are so many China students. So I got China new student also.
So, you know, there is one hot topic about the relationship between international students and between local students. By saying local, I'm referring to both Malay students and Chinese students as well. What do you think? Why we have sometimes difficulties with communication? And I know that a lot of students, international students, they transformed their study because they find it hard to communicate with each other. So, what do you think? What is the reason?
I think that this is language. I think for me, it's the main thing is language. In here, as you know, I don't understand Chinese. In here, most or 80% are Chinese, so very difficult because Chinese people they only want to speak Chinese. Sometimes they don't want to speak English. Even in the class they don't want to speak Chinese. So they also went to a friend who speak Chinese. They don't want it because they a little bit. I think that for them it's a little bit hard to speak English. I think so. So they don't want to speak in English. So they don't want a friend who have to speak English. I think.
What do you mean that they are a bit like isolating themselves, like a bit in terms of the language?
Oh yeah, I think that they can speak, but they are a little bit shy to speak because so if they speak, they can improve their English also. But I want them to speak English more, but they just speak Chinese.
So, what do you think? What's the university's administration and what we can do in order to improve the relationship between international students and local and Chinese students as well?
Yeah, I think that the school has to be like very disciplined or in speaking English because they say that this university is English school, English university, and all students speak in English. But in the class they teach in English, but communication between student and student, between friend and friends, and they they just talk randomly. So students school has to be like straight to speak English.
What do you mean? Like there should be some regulation in terms of the language, so we should try to speak as more English as it possible.
I think the school should like encourage all the students, all Chinese students, all international students to speak English, and they also have like speaking English classes, and this class all have to be attend like that. Some now all Chinese students they just directly go to the degree. In degree there's no English class. In foundation there is English class, but I want to suggest that in degree also should have speaking class for all the students.
Thank you for beautiful answers, and thank you that became my interview. I wish you good luck.
Thank you so much.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
I have a couple of questions for you. First, let's start from introduction. Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Akasiwa Imangawa Munyima. I'm from Zambia.
And how old are you?
I'm 22.
What course you are taking?
In the foundation in arts, the business stream, so second semester.
How long have you been here?
I think it's been 6 months now.
6 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is one hot topic about international students and local students, and we try to touch this very topic. So first, can you tell me, do you feel that you have enough international students, friends here? International friends?
Yes, I would say there is enough, but there's not enough international students.
Okay. So can you tell me why sometimes we find it hard for international students, you and me, find hard to communicate with the local students and with Chinese students. At the same time, Chinese students and local students feels a bit isolated from international students. And can you tell me the reason why this happening?
I think there's no proper cultural integration at this university. Like everyone's just doing their own thing. There's not like one shaman culture.
You feel that this is like here is like we have a flow in system, you mean?
Yes.
So does there is any other reasons?
Language barrier, perhaps. Not everyone speaks the same language. Most international students speak English, and the local and the Chinese students find it hard to communicate in English.
You feel that like the matter only in the system, not in the people as you and me. It's only about the system and only about language.
To some extent, it's the people as well, because indifference, I guess. So people are afraid of change or afraid of associating because they're different.
Okay, so what do you think, what school administration, university administration, and we our students can do in order to change this situation?
They should have more interactive programs. Like the school does have events, but less like cultural interactive events.
And it can solve the problem.
It can help a bit, but it's all up to the students at the end of the day.
How do you feel so far here in university? Do you like it?
I do. I like it. It's all right.
It's all right, yes.
Yeah.
I wish you good luck in all your beginnings in your study. I'm really happy to know you, and again, wish you good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Just good, not bad.
Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Adam. Most of my peers call me like this, and I'm taking course of electronics, electrical engineering, and
Where are you from?
Uzbekistan.
How old are you?
19.
19. How long have you been here?
Just about 3 weeks.
And how do you find our university?
It's just perfect, nice atmosphere, and also just existential opportunities are much more bigger and also perfect. And I like the atmosphere for creating international students and the support of Chinese students for internationals like this.
Okay, you know we have hot topic here in university. Apart from being beautiful, we have some problems with communication when it comes to international students and local students, Chinese students and Malay students. So, can you tell me what do you think? What is the main reason of us to fail communication?
Fail communication?
Yes.
Till this September, I haven't faced any kind of problems because most of my Chinese peers just supported me in every situation. Just as an example, we have an orientation for electronics engineering course, and one of my peers translated all the speech, all Chinese speech for me because I was a sole international student in a.
Whoa! I suppose that it was magnificent help for you.
Yeah, so I think there is no any kind of problem.
Okay, so in this situation, what sort of advices you can give to other students when it comes to communicating with local students here, as
for
an
Chinese?
as international student?
As an international student,
Yeah.
I think as my peers, they should give them as a support as much as possible. Also, give them any kind of direction and give them a chance to adapt their culture, as well as take them to any kind of cultural shops or orientations, celebrities, something like this. Be part with them.
Be part of this very atmosphere, as you told. So actually, you are the person who gave the positive answer to my question, and you gave the unexpected answers to my questions. So thank you for your time. Wish you good luck in all your beginnings in your study as well.
Good luck for you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm very fine. How are you?
I'm really fine, thank you. Can you introduce yourself?
My full name is Abdullah Mahin Khan. I'm from Bangladesh. I'm 19 years old, very young.
Yeah, you are.
So yeah, I'm studying. My major is electrical engineering, electrical and electronics engineering, and I've just came here on 4th of October. So
Whoa.
I'm very new here.
You are very new here.
Yeah.
So, I have a couple of questions, and suppose you can answer to all of them. So, how do you find studying here in Xiamen University?
I've looked it up. I studied the place I studied for my IELTS. There were some people from Xiamen University went there. They described out the university, and I was like, yeah, it might be good. So I looked it up, and I saw it was beautiful, and the rank is also good. So yeah.
Yeah. So, as you know, here we have not a lot of international students, limited number of international students, and lots of Chinese students and Malay students. How do you find communicating with them? Do you have a lot of local friends?
Not a lot actually, but I have enough, I guess.
You have, and how do you find communicating with them? Have you found some difficulties?
Yeah, of course. It's really hard to communicate with the Chinese people, as the communication gap, as their accent is different from ours.
Extent. What do you mean by saying extent?
Accent, right? Like the way they speak is quite different from ours, so it's really hard to understand them, and even it's hard for them to understand us. So there's a problem.
So, okay, you feel that the main flow is a communication. So you find it hard to communicate because of the language barrier. How about other factors? Can you come up with other factors?
I don't think there are any other factors.
All the language barrier.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So, what do you think? What sort of regulation should this school or the university's administration establish in order to change these very circumstances?
There's nothing the university can do about this, I guess. It's just about us. We need to get to know each other well. It takes time to understand them.
Okay.
So
Give me some advices.
advices on?
Advices on how to communicate. How you've been talking about changing ourselves. So how?
So we need to open ourselves up. We need to go to approach them. We need to talk to them more and more. And this way we can build up a communication. We can understand them much better if we spend time on understanding them. That's how we can. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your answers. Thank you that you came, you took your time. I wish you good luck in all your beginnings and your study as well. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm really fine, thank you. Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Sadman Shakib. I am from Bangladesh and I'm studying Foundation in Arts.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
Nice to meet you. I have a couple of questions for you. So, can you tell me how many international student friends you have and how many local friends you have?
How many international? Well, I haven't kept count, but I would say both on an equal amount. All right. So I'm mainly friends with most of the Zambian people. You've just
Yes.
interviewed Aka, right? Yeah.
So, what do you think? Why sometimes international students find it hard to communicate with the local students and with Chinese students?
I guess English comes into play. English is like a big issue. I had that here. The first time I came here, I was like, it's been a year I've been here, honestly, and I've gained a lot of weight right now. Yes, I've gained a lot of weight. But before that, I have straight hair. I shaved, so people kind of thought that I was like local Chinese. So they came up to me and started talking in Chinese.
Really?
Yeah.
It's surprising actually.
Yes. So like I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not actually Chinese. The moment I talked in English and they're like, oh, okay, sorry, they go away. That's it.
Yeah. Like, stop it and try to a bit skip you. Yeah. Maybe.
More like, I guess, they're like, most people from the Chinese friends that I have, they say that, we are not really confident with our English. We're kind of shy. So that's why we stay away. Which is why I go and talk with them more.
So you feel that the core reason, the main reason why we find it hard to communicate with each other, it's only language barrier.
Not necessarily. There are some other factors, but the main one is language.
The
I would
main
say.
one. Can you tell me about the secondary causes as well?
Well, cultural ones. There might be things that we find normal that maybe the Chinese or any other race they don't actually find that. Okay.
So can you amplify, like, can you clarify a bit? Give me some examples.
Give you some examples like.
Take your time.
I'm so sorry, I can't think of it right away. Like, maybe there's food. There's that one thing, right? See, I kind of complain that the place doesn't have food spicy enough for me.
Oh,
We love spicy food.
I know.
Right? So every time, say when my Chinese friends and I go to eat, I get the spiciest thing, and they just don't understand why I do that. All right.
So, like a difference in lifestyle, difference even in cuisine and culture
Yes.
can be like a barrier that impedes us from becoming closer to each other. So, thank you for magnificent answer, and thank you that you came. And you are looking very handsome.
Thank you. You too.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
How are you?
How?
How are you?
I'm good.
So, relax. It's gonna be fun. Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Manhan, and my major is finance.
Oh, where are you from?
From KL.
You are from KL. You are a local student.
Yeah, local student.
So nice to meet you. How old are you?
19 years old.
Thank you. So, how long have you been here in Xiamen University?
I've been here since February.
So you are freshman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got some of questions. I suppose it will be like easy for you to answer. You know that we have international students here in our campus. So have you got international student friends?
Yeah, I have. I have a few international students. We know each other through sports.
Whoa, that's really nice. So, what do you think? Why sometimes we find it hard to communicate together? I mean, when it comes to international students and local students, sometimes it's hard to communicate with each other. Why it happens?
I think it's the diversity of the culture,
Culture.
some language, the constraints, don't know how to communicate with each other.
So, when you've been talking about culture, can you give me some examples? What exactly different? Maybe some habits, maybe something you find
Yeah,
different.
habits, I think. Because I think it's like the food habits. Some of them cannot take the pork.
Yeah.
So sometimes if we want to eat with each other, we cannot do it.
So this is the reason. So what do you think? What should we do in order to like change this situation and become better, like improve our relationships?
So I think we can try to follow them, and then we also choose not to take, and then so we can eat together. Yeah.
You mean it's okay to undermine habits?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for your answer. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Chow Boai.
Where are you from?
I'm Malaysia local student.
You are a local student. That's nice. So can you tell me how old are you?
19.
And what is your course?
Finance.
Can you tell me, like, can you answer to some of my questions? Do you have international student friends?
Yes, from Egypt.
Really?
Really.
That's really nice. So how do you find communicating with them?
Just talk something I don't know about Egypt and about their food, about their religion, some culture like that.
So overall, you are happy to have these friends.
Yeah, sure.
So you know that sometimes we find it hard to communicate with each other when it comes to international students and local students. And what do you think? What is the reason why we find it hard to do so?
Maybe we are not expert in English, like just normal, so we can't communicate with smooth like with them.
So you feel that the biggest problem is the language barrier.
Yeah, language. Some person not good in English will have is the reason.
Okay. Do you think that there are other reasons?
Maybe food, for the part, yeah. And like we do know their food, what they can eat, and we will wrong sometimes.
This is a problem. So, okay, what do you think what the school should do in order for us to become closer, like to improve our communication?
Can have some activity, some activity to make us communicate together, and then can improve our relationship.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you that you came. Really nice to meet you.
Okay, nice to meet you too.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Tan Chen-Ying from Chinese study.
Can you tell me from what country you are? Where are you from?
I'm Malaysian.
You are Malaysian?
Yeah, I'm local.
Really nice to meet you. How old are you?
19.
19. I have a couple of questions concerning international students and local students. I suppose that you can answer to them. So, do you feel that you have enough international student friends?
I don't think I have enough, but I have some. Yeah.
Some. So, see, majority of students find it hard to communicate with each other and to become friends. Local students find it hard to communicate with international with local. So, what do you think? What is the main barrier? What is the main reason?
Oh, I think that the main reason is language barrier, and sometimes there are cultural barriers.
Cultural barriers. So, can you speak a bit more about this very part? I mean, cultural barrier.
I think that something like Chinese New Year, but yeah, they have holiday, but other international students don't have. So they will become very lonely, I think.
A bit isolated and alone, you mean?
Right.
So, what do you think? What can administration of this very university, or let's say, what we can do in order to become closer?
I think that we can introduce more about our culture to each other, and maybe culture campaign, something like this.
You feel that organizing various types of activities and holidays can change the situation, yes?
Yeah, yes. No.
So, how about the students itself? What students can do in order to become closer to each other?
I think that language is the main reason. So we can make some events, something like learn the language from international students, right? Just like this.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your answers. Thank you for your time. I wish you good luck in all your beginnings and your study as well. Thank you. Good evening.
Hello.
How do you feel today?
Good. Quite good.
Can you introduce yourself?
I'm Amanda. I'm currently taking international business. This is my second year.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
Where are you from?
I'm local Malaysian.
You are Malaysian. Nice to see you and nice to meet you. So, Amanda, I have a couple of questions in terms of the relationship between international students and local students. These days, majority of international students facing some difficulties when it comes to making conversation with the local students and with Chinese students. So, what is your attitude toward this?
Towards the international students?
Yes.
For me, I don't really have any problems with them because somehow the locals and Chinese think I'm international too. Yeah, that's why. But in another way, the Malaysians are thinks that I'm local, and then they're hard to communicate with me. Yeah.
So can you tell me, do you feel like that you have enough international student friends and local or Chinese students friends?
Well, my social circle are mostly international students, to be honest. My Malaysian friends are only like my dorm friends. That's it. Yeah.
You know, so far I have been interviewing more than 10 people, and from their answers it was clear for me that the first and the main reason why international students find it hard to communicate with Chinese students or with local students is a language barrier. So what is your attitude? What do you think as a local student who already knows the local people and Chinese people as well? So what is your perspective toward this?
Yeah, even though I'm surrounded by international students, sometimes I still find it hard to understand when they speak because they have a strong accent. Yeah, it's still understandable, but maybe they need to repeat for like a few times. Yeah, as for me, towards the Chinese students, they still have a strong accent, like it's hard to understand.
It's hard to understand.
Yeah, so I actually understand why the international thinks that the Chinese are quite hard to communicate with.
So, and also I know that you are the person who understands Chinese language as well, and I know that you have friends among Chinese students. So, what is the relationship like? What is the perspective of Chinese students towards international students? If, let's say, international students have their own objective, can you predict the objective of Chinese students?
Chinese student is Malaysian Chinese or China Chinese?
Chinese students.
Chinese student.
Why they feel a bit hard to communicate with international students, and is it like a really language barrier?
For the strong point for this is it is the language barrier, but maybe sometimes from what they heard, they grow up with, they will think like international people are more of proud of themselves, might be rude, something like that.
It is like a you mean stereotypes?
Yeah,
Yes.
stereotype. Yeah.
This is something that influences and like not discourages Chinese students from talking to international students.
Yeah, exactly.
So, as a person, as a neutral person who has her own circle among international students, local students, and Chinese students, so can you tell me, can you give some advices? How can we improve our relationship? How can we unite actually?
So, basically, everyone's different, right? So we just have to be brave enough to go and interact with anyone we meet, because you never know. We'll learn something new. Maybe they're not what we think they are. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your suggestions. Thank you so much for your time. I wish you good luck in all your beginning and your study as well.
You too.
Thank you.